Marvin Harold McKee, hanged February the 9th, 1960. At 12:09 a.m. on Tuesday, February the 9th, 1960, Marvin Harold McKee, 20, was hanged at the Parry Sound Jail for the murder of Huntsville, Ontario cab driver Bruce Spiers, 22. McKee went to his death quietly and confessed shortly before his execution. McKee had willed his eyes to the eye bank and asked to be buried in the jail yard as a warning to young people to lead better lives. McKee, who was described by the Huntsville Forester newspaper, the Huntsville Forester, as having long sideburns and an Elvis Presley haircut, was pronounced dead at 12:20 a.m. He was the first person under the age of 21 to have been hung since 1953. Not everyone was pleased with McKee's choice of final resting place, complaining that, even in the jail yard, the convicted murderer's body was buried too darn close to the town's main street. The crime for which McKee would hang took place on June the 17th, 1959, at a gravel pit in Dwight, Ontario, near Huntsville, where the condemned man and his accomplice, Wayne Sluman, then 16, had lured Spiers and his partner, Francis, a.k.a. Fritz Grosso, aged 29. Both men had been shot in the head with a sawed-off .22 rifle, their bodies being found 11 days after the murders. The killers had initially fled the scene, but returned the next day to rob the bodies and found that Spiers was still alive. His skull was then crushed, apparently by McKee, to finish him off. The motive for this double murder was robbery, the crime netting a mere $24. The pair kept the stolen taxi and even drove it down to Oshawa, where they picked up a 17-year-old girl, Annie Young, and spent several days hiding out in the bush before Sluman was arrested and McKee and Young were picked up near Elk Lake, Ontario. The trial of both men took place at Bracebridge, Ontario, where on November the 7th, 1959, the all-male jury took only 48 minutes to find McKee guilty, causing him to snarl, "And you call this justice?" His accomplice, Sluman, would plead guilty to manslaughter and was sentenced to 15 years in the Kingston Penitentiary. Not much has been written about this case, and my primary sources of information have been newspaper reports found via the Google News archive. McKee rates a single reference in The Last Dance, Murder in Canada, where author Neil Boyd describes him as being of, quote, below average mentality, end of quote. End of Marvin Harold McKee. If you enjoyed today's video, please drop a like, comment, and consider subscribing to The Gallows, where we explore Canadian murder cases which ended on the scaffold. And remember, if you're born to hang, you'll never be shot. Cheers. Music used in today's video is The Haunting Aftermath by that patron of the internet, Kevin MacLeod. As for me, I'm fighting a bad head cold, so I apologize in advance for the quality of my narration, but hey, the show must go on.